ready?
Okay. Okay.
All right, friends, welcome. Tonight, I am so excited to have our very special guest, Dr. Barb O'Neill, with us tonight. So we're just going to wait and let a couple friends join us as we finish up whatever they're working on, and I'll make sure and we'll be here for you tonight to share some fun information about challenging behaviors and how to transform them. So, Barb, how's your night going?
Great. Yeah. I'm having a really nice night. You know, it's so nice when it's lighter, late into the evening. So,
yes.
Yeah. Happy to be here with you all.
Good, good. Well, I am excited to have you here with us as well. So, let's just get started and find out all of these great tips that you're going to share with us. I know 6:30 can sometimes be a hard time, especially with friends on the East Coast. It gets a little bit later, but this is going to be able to be viewed anytime. So we'll be ready to roll. All right. So, Barb, it's kind of a big question. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Well, I've been in the early childhood field for, I guess, a bit over 25 years now. Started out as a floating teacher's aide, which is a very hard job, actually,
Yes.
being in all those different classrooms. And went on to be a preschool teacher, preschool special ed teacher, and worked as an early childhood professor for 8 years, center director, and now I devote myself full-time to helping preschool teachers with children's behavior, both through in-person training and speaking, and increasingly online, including through my annual online conference. So it's kind of my obsession.
Fantastic. Well, it sounds like you have so much experience to bring to the table. And I'm so excited for you to share with my viewers information that they can use either when they get back into the classroom or even at the moment, if in fact they are still teaching. So here's the thing. I know Barb O'Neill because I am going to be one of her guests in the 3rd annual Transforming Challenging Behaviors Conference, which is coming up in just a few weeks. So yeah. May 6th through 10th, is it?
12th.
12th. Yeah. All right. And so we're going to talk a little bit later about all of the details around that conference. And so everybody who has received my emails and seen my posts in Facebook, you can get some clarity in determining if this is a conference that might work for you, that you would learn from, which I know you will. And then also just talk a little bit more about some of the packages and whatnot. But before we get to that, here's the thing, Barb. You interview all of these amazing people, and I know from experience with you interviewing me, it was just so much fun. Your questions were amazing. They clearly came from somebody who knows the world of early childhood. But tonight, it's your turn to be interviewed.
I know, I'm much more comfortable in the reverse, honestly.
Well, it's good for us to get out of our comfort zone.
Yeah, it's true.
All right, so with all of your background in early childhood and all the ways that you've been, I'm wondering if you could give us maybe 3 tips that we could walk away with tonight that would help for anybody who deals with children with challenging behaviors. And I know that's all over the board, so I don't expect you to go into any detail. This is somewhat generalized. But I would love to hear some tips that you could share with us that would set us up for success.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think the first tip I would share is to really focus on yourself when it comes to challenging behavior before you get into trying to stop the behavior or figure out what's going on or prevent it. But just to take that moment and, this is something I've definitely thought about myself before in terms of like realizing when I was a teacher going to interact with that child from a place of love, compassion, or positivity, right? That assuming they're doing their best. So for me, honestly, it's always been like a kind of from a heady place, right? Like I have a lot of years of school. I'm kind of a cognitive person in many ways. But honestly, the part that I want to share the most these days, the tip when it comes to like taking care, like focusing on ourselves for that minute, I've learned from the conference speakers. It's a huge theme from doing now 3 years of interviews of realizing so many early childhood experts are saying when we're in the moment with a challenging behavior, first, we need to calm ourselves and to take inventory of our physiology. Are we really amped up? Are we, if you're familiar with the ideas of being in fight, flight, or freeze, are we kind of going into our brainstem where we're reactive, that tiger jumping out of the bush? And if we are, to make sure, we take some deep breaths or just really look at ourselves first and making sure we're approaching that child calmly and confidently. That's so huge. So huge.
I cannot agree more with you. Not only as a parent, as a spouse, as a friend, in the classroom, all of these components, I think, really help us to remind we want to bring the calm rather than add to the chaos.
Right.
And being able to have that ability to do that self-check is really so valuable. And it's really not something that you might have been taught in your education, that you might have never thought of that. So thank you for bringing up that point. And Tammy, thank you for coming in and having a seat with us on this interview tonight. All right. Well, that's one. I can't wait for tip 3. All right. Okay. Second tip, Barb, what can you give us?
Yeah. Well, the second tip is really, we talk so much about prevention, right? Because when you are in that moment, like in that first suggestion where you're going to calm to respond, you've already sort of lost the battle there, right? So we want to aim for prevention. But what is often overlooked is play. Okay. So my second tip is to really look at how you can build on young children's propensity for play when you're developing a plan to help avoid those behaviors in the future. And that can look a lot of different ways, but the one that I think is most important to highlight is that play is the best place, the best activity, in my opinion and in my experience, for developing your relationship with young children. To just simply join them in their play. Yes. And a simple strategy that I always go back to time and again is just to imitate what that child's doing in their play. And of course, with children who are throwing things, limit testing, you have to find that moment when they're using some materials in a way, even if it's banging blocks, it's not the intended use of constructing, but okay, nobody's going to get hurt necessarily, so I might just join them on the floor for play and imitate what they're doing. Yeah. And I know sometimes when I suggest this, teachers and parents and families alike are like, how is that going to help with behavior? But it's really like a side door to build that connection. Yeah. And you're following the child's lead in play, and over time, maybe you do a little something different with the blocks and they follow your lead. And that really can translate to having children follow your lead when you're not playing. So I'm not saying that's like a quick fix, but it's a little bit of an investment that will really pay off with huge dividends in the long run.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. I think connection with children and teaching them that you respect them, you're able to come down to their level. And you talk about, then down the road, them imitating you when you're getting their behavior to change. I think that's banking. That's almost pulling a withdrawal from where you've banked these moments of connection. So I love that idea. And I think that, it's so important that children recognize that they are being recognized, because that's all they want. They want our attention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's great. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
One more?
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to circle back to when you do have that child throwing a fit or getting really amped up and yelling or getting aggressive. The biggest thing I can offer in those moments, just given that, we don't have time to do like a whole workshop together and delve really into it. And this follows from that idea of being calm, right? But in the moment when we're experiencing a behavior from a child and they're in that aroused state, that the thing is, we've been taught a lot of wrong things. And some of that may be through some training or college coursework, but I think more honestly, we learn it just from each other. And that is often that when we find ourselves in that power struggle, that tantrum with that angry or aggressive child, we're trying to reason with them. We're telling them to use their words. We're talking to them. And what often is most helpful in those moments is to stop talking. And just maybe make sure the other children know, Michael's really upset. We're going to give him some space. And really just give that child some space, see if they can calm down on their own, and to co-regulate with you by you being calm. And maybe just stop talking, at least directly to them. And someone in my Facebook group just recently wrote that she learned from my online conference, actually, so it wasn't from me directly, it was from some of our speakers, Christy Purdy-Fonsack and Barb, that in those moments, a great strategy could be as simple, depends on the child, just putting your hand out quietly. And she said she tried it, and she was amazed that worked, right? Just putting your hand out to show, like, I'm calm, I'm waiting, but I'm not like, I'm waiting for you. Yeah. And eventually the child, calmed down, got up, and took, she didn't tell the whole story, but I've seen that myself, like, where just that nonverbal quiet can actually do so much more for us than a lot of words. But we've been taught to use all the words.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I know in my circle times, that sometimes the use of the way that I might handle a situation is actually by not handling the situation.
Right.
And by not bringing attention to it, sometimes gets it to de-escalate even faster.
Yeah. Well, can I share one strategy that you shared in our interview for the conference that's connected?
Sure.
That's okay to give that away?
Yeah.
It's probably one of your secrets from you.
That's okay.
Well, I think it bears a family resemblance, that example I gave with the hand of you had shared with me in that interview. If two children are having their own fun, as you said, talking amongst themselves, playing with each other's hair, whatever, you're leading the circle time. Rather than saying, I'm going to have to separate you two, you recommended you might just move your own body in between the two of them. So I think that's a similar spirit to that suggestion.
Yeah.
And that was a great one.
Yeah, it does.
Like a tweak to what we might normally do.
Yeah, and it's so funny because it's a bit counterintuitive. Like, you wouldn't think that would actually work, and then it does, and it's like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Jessica, hi, Jessica, I'm from Montana. She says she offers a hug, and it totally changes their mood. And that, again, is another way to just show that connection, to show that, I love you. I'm here for you. I want the best for you. So that's a great idea as well. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
All right. Those were awesome. And this is just touching the surface of all the amazing people that you have brought into the conference that we are soon all about to experience. So I've got some questions for you. And my first question is, in regards to children's behavior, what behaviors do you feel are the most misunderstood by educators and parents?
Oh, yes. Okay, I have something I'm super excited to share about that. So, I know you said you were interviewing me, Jocelyn, but I'm just telling you about all the people I learned from today.
Perfect. Hey, don't yell. Just keep circulating that information.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the interviews I did this year was with Elizabeth Montero Cephalo, and she is a conscious discipline trainer with a background in early childhood special ed. She was a classroom teacher. And so in our interview, what she talked about was how she gave us like that hand model of the brain.
Yep.
And so when children are very upset and they're being aggressive, they're in the brain stem. But then in I'm not as, this is not my thing in the way it is for some other people, but then when they move up to that, second part of the brain, that's a more verbal part, but it's emotional, and it's not the logical part, it's the emotional part. So they may start yelling at you, I'm sure anyone tuning in may have experienced this, like, stupid, no, and what she said to us that I thought was the biggest was that when that child goes from being physically aggressive and throwing things to yelling at you in an emotionally heated way, they're upshifting, she said. So we might think we're getting in there, we're doing the things recommended, calm, and then they start yelling at us. So we might interpret that as like escalating, but that actually sometimes that upshift, what it looks like is it goes from physical to verbally emotional. And so I think it's just important to know about that different way that children's upset might manifest depending on which part of the brain they're in.
Yeah.
And that if they move from physical aggression to emotionally yelling, you may actually be making progress. And like, who would think that? It's talk about counterintuitive.
Yeah. No, and that makes sense. They bring in that language, and that's, sort of higher level thinking. If we're thinking about that brainstem and then going up into that second brain. So that makes really good sense. And I think it's a reminder that we need to better understand children's cues so that we can respond to them in a way that's appropriate, rather to maybe even start something that never would have started if you as the adult wouldn't have brought something new. So that's amazing information, and definitely something I will bring into the classroom as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so why did you end up creating this conference 3 years ago?
Yeah, well, I had already left my job as a professor, and I was training exclusively on challenging behavior. So the topic was top of mind because so many teachers were reporting struggling with it. And then I started doing a lot of online learning for myself, and I had participated in some online conferences or summits, not necessarily about education, but actually more for my personal development, like a mindfulness and meditation summit, for example. And I just loved that idea of not having to travel and to be in the comfort of my own home, in my pajamas, and experiencing that learning online for free. I just thought it was wonderful. And so the idea just came to me, and honestly, at first it seemed sort of ridiculous, like, that's too big of an undertaking, but it was kind of a magical sequence of events because I had a friend who knew a woman who helped people with that, and so I was able to team up with her, and she basically showed me how it's done, and we had 8,000 people show up the first year, so I knew it was something that there was a need for, and so many early childhood educators don't have the funding, even when we're not being asked to stay at home, to travel to a conference. So it's just grown from there, and this year we already have over 20,000 people signed up, and it's still 2 weeks till we get there. So I think it's just, you could pop on a video while you're cooking or doing your dishes, you put it in your ears and go for a walk. So it fits with our lifestyles, I think, and it's just a great sense of community, an international community.
Yeah. And I think that's it. I mean, even last year when I participated in it, it was just so much fun to know that you could sit down or walk and listen to all of these really great interviews. It's something so different for many of us who've gone to a live conference. Mm-hmm. And now, considering what we're going through, I've had so many conferences cancel that it couldn't even come at a better time for teachers to still continue to work on building their education and getting ready to get back into the classroom with kids. Mm-hmm. So not everyone has attended an online conference. So it might be sort of something where it's very different. Can you just quickly run over what does this look like and how does somebody do it?
Yeah. So you just register with your first name and email, and I'm sure you'll share the link with folks so they can do that.
Yeah, we've got the link right over here in the comments.
There you go. And then on May 6th through 12th, you will get a daily email from me that you will just click on a link to a webpage with 3 videos, and you have 24 whole hours to watch those videos. So you don't have to show up at a certain time. You don't have to let me know which sessions you're going to. You just, whichever ones resonate with you, and if you happen to start one and it doesn't resonate, you can switch to a different one. You can watch one or all three. The next day we take those down. I email you a new link, and then you have access to those three. We do that every day for 7 days, and every day you also get a free downloadable workbook. And you can get the workbook in English or Spanish, and when you're watching the videos, you could choose Spanish subtitles or English subtitles if that is how you would rather learn. So I think that's basically how it works. Are there other questions about that, or does that make sense?
So is it 9 a.m. Pacific time the videos come out?
Yeah, so you can email from me at 9 a.m. and then you have 24 hours. So like if you wake up the next morning and it's only 7, you can still watch one from the day before.
Yeah, exactly. Great.
Pacific, that's Pacific.
Yeah, Pacific, yes. All right, so I know there's some packages available, and I'm trying to figure out, so it's a free conference, nothing is paid, but you've got some packages. Now, why would somebody want to purchase one of these packages?
Yeah. Right. So that whole experience of the videos and the workbooks is a free experience. And then some people really enjoy the videos, but they don't, which is fair, want to watch 21 videos over the course of 7 days.
Yeah.
And we do have a bonus session for leaders, so it's really 22 this year, depending on if that's relevant to you. So some people do purchase the conference package to have longer, to watch the videos, and also a lot of people want professional development certificates. So to get those, then you would need to pay a fee to get extended access and the downloadable certificates. And we've adjusted the pricing this year for the fact that a lot of folks have been economically impacted. So I think the first step is just to register so you don't miss the free goodies, and then you can always decide later if you want to do that.
Yeah. And I think that's great because throughout the year, it might be an opportunity, maybe in the summer, you're more free and you can jump on, and now you know. Now, is it lifetime access, or is it year access to these videos?
Yes. Well, I was kind of joking. Maybe this is like, some people don't share my sense of humor, but I thought, like, it's my lifetime, right?
Oh, yeah, I was thinking about that.
Depending on who dies first. But I plan to make those available indefinitely. Okay. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I want to say, I know that there's even, packages that are great for schools. And when it comes to staff meetings, what if a staff maybe chose one speaker a month and spend some time really digging into that content? So it would be fabulous to have all of that information at their fingertips.
Yeah, and we have programs that do that, and the workbooks are great because you can use them individually, or if you are watching with colleagues or your whole staff, you can use the workbook questions for discussion as well.
Yeah. So could you tell us maybe, just pick 3 speakers from the conference and just give us a quick overview of what we might expect from them.
Ooh, so hard to choose. Okay. Well, I think the first one I'll mention is someone from day 1, and that is Dana Abraham. And she has a background in early childhood special ed, and she can speak from a parent perspective because she has herself had a child who was having a lot of trouble with behavior in preschool. And her session is get to the root of challenging behavior.
Okay.
So that's where we're really digging in and understanding what's behind. And she has an amazing framework that is quite simple and user-friendly, and just really will shed some light on what's going on with the behavior. A lot of times teachers say to me, well, it's just random, I don't understand, and it doesn't involve a lot of data collection or anything like that, but her framework really can help you figure things out.
Okay.
Yeah. The second one I'll mention is day 2 with Vanessa Levitt, and maybe some of your folks know Vanessa because she's very active on Facebook as well. And it's about handwriting, actually, or writing activities, and other activities, teacher-directed, maybe small group or large group table activities. And those children throw a fit when you try to get them to write their name or anything like that.
Yeah.
So that one is going to be invaluable if that's your experience. And then the last one I would mention, I'll jump all the way to day 7, is Julie Kurtz, who is from the Center for Optimal Brain Integration. She's a trauma specialist, and her colleagues, Julie Nicholson and Wanda Wesley, are talking about trauma, but also culturally responsive self-care. So I think, obviously, given what's going on in the world, it's a really important time for us all to understand just a basic understanding of trauma and trauma-informed ways of being in the world, and then that taking care of ourselves piece. Yeah. I think, whether you're a parent or a teacher, you find that very valuable.
Great. So we have a lot of parents in my group. Do you feel like, already I feel like I can answer it just based on the couple of people that you talked about there, but do you feel that parents would benefit from attending this conference?
Yeah, absolutely. And, so you may find that the examples we use are often classroom-based, or like I was talking about, Vanessa's session talking about handwriting. But obviously, most families of preschoolers are concerned about getting their kids writing, right? So whether that's happening with you at your dining room table, or that's a behavior that the teacher's talking about happening in the classroom, I think the sessions are going to shed a lot of light on what's going on and help you, in many cases, make simple yet powerful tweaks to what you're doing to get a really different result. So, yeah, absolutely.
And I do just have to say that I think parents getting this information, this education, is so important because, if schools are doing one thing and at home you're doing another thing, that's very difficult for kids to understand. So just empowering these parents with some of the verbiage and some of the information can really help as we all work towards raising human beings that are amazing for the world that we're living in.
Yeah. Can I say one more thing? Because it has to do with your session, actually. So I think your folks might be interested.
Sure.
Yeah, so in some ways, you could say your session might seem on the surface the least applicable to parents. Because it's circle time, and most families aren't doing circle time. But if the kids right now are being asked to do like a Zoom circle time, it's going to give you some real insight for how to think about that.
Yeah.
And some of the strategies, like the one we highlighted before, of moving between two children when they're either, having a scuffle or playing, when you don't want them to be, that nonverbal, you can adapt that if you have siblings. You don't have to be sitting down with 20 preschoolers reading the book, but the strategies are still applicable. You just would change it. So, and so I think they're definitely going to want to, and singing and thinking about, that active time versus that seated time is going to be really valuable to families as well.
Great. Awesome. Well, Barb, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to chat with us and share your insight. And I hope that everyone registers for this great conference. And I just want to say thank you for providing it to the world, because it really is the world. There's Australia, across the pond in England, just so many amazing people come together to watch as well as speak. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And I'm so excited to have you back as a speaker and share your session with everyone. It's really good.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and everybody who joined us tonight, thank you so much. Make sure you register with the link there in the comments. You can get on there and also check out all the speakers and get any information on the packages that Barb spoke about as well. So have a fantastic night, and we'll see you all in the conference. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.